ahead. Just take a look at their architecture projects that they try to imply, and you're gonna see very much why they were never gonna last 1,000 years. Put it mildly. Actually, we found the man. That has taken forever. An elderly man hunches over a cluttered desk in the back of the workshop. His flesh is pulled tightly around thin, fragile-looking bones, except around his neck, where it hangs in loose wattles. As you enter, a skull already chiseled into his lined face.
Back again? I told you.
He hesitates, swinging at you from behind, smudged in dusty spectacles.
Of course, a fresh fool to replace the last fools.
Well, yeah.
What brings you stomping through my workshop, eh?
It was actually a good question. I found something to murder, and I just continued going because I thought there was be more. Well, seems like you already know.
Straight to business, no nonsense. We appreciate that, don't we?
Anything for a breather from your endless yammering.
Nej, gonna fancy for this one already.
Hear that, Timora? Another who would tolerate your barbs and insults. But you come seeking the White Forge, like they all do.
Somewhat, yes, that would be
Boys with
appreciated.
Smooth cheeks and wild dreams. Girls with bright ribbons tied next to their scabbards.
First things first, we don't have any boys with smooth cheeks and wild dreams. I mean, have you looked at Durance? That guy has a fucking amazing face just all around, and we have Adair, who is also not looking much more smooth-cheeked. As for the girls, we have that, well, I mean, I know they call them different, but basically half-orc. And myself, I mean, I don't think I have bright ribbon tied to my scabbard. That as far as I'm aware.
Old men and women, too, seeking a final blaze of glory before they're snuffed out for another turn at the wheel. Sound familiar?
Not really, no. I do know that stereotyping is a thing. And yes, I know of the bright-eyed beginning and ending adventurer. Yes, very much so. Horrible business. That's a lot of bitterness. Maybe I should ask you the same thing.
Save your breath.
He honks about a flecken from the back of his throat and spits into the corner. Okay, that is something I never really understood, but in this case even less, yeah? I know this whole idea of spitting around, but this is your workshop. Aren't you the one who has to clean that up later? At least get a fucking bucket or something.
I have this conversation with every pig-headed swashbuckler those Postenagos and stalwarts send here. Go see Garvino, they say. Surely he'll help you.
Must have slipped their minds what a busy and important fellow you are.
As soon as it follows, the temperature of the room seems to drop. Gavino blasted her.
I should have let them stone you. Would have silenced your endless rattling forever.
Yeah, so many people should have been stoned, but no, instead they have been left walking. Many regrets were made. That's basically human history, in a nutshell.
Then you'd have naught but those frostbitten inbreds for company.
Hey, there you actually make it a very good point there. Yeah, that's probably how it would be.
The spiteful imbeciles destroyed my career, ruined years of work. But let us focus on the reason for your visit, yes? The villagers and their adventurers hammer and pry at the battery as if they were laying siege to some moldering lord's keep. But those stones were laid by some of the finest builders ever to have lived, disciples of Abidan in the truest sense.
Yeah, but everything that is built by mortal hands can be destroyed by mortal hands. That is the whole point, isn't it? I do remember one story that was from, it's actually stuck with me from a history class I once had about the Crusades. I don't remember which one. I think it was the Third Crusade or so. About one little keep that has been built and raised and built up again and raised and built up again and raised and built up again. Because it kind of changed between the coming Crusaders and Saladin's men over and over again. I was like, yeah, this is a nice example of just how humans are. We build it, then we are about to lose it, so we raise it because we don't want the other side to have it. The other side comes along, rebuilds it, because they do want to keep at that point too. And then when the Crusaders come back and retake the land, you're gonna, destroy it again because you don't want the Crusaders to have it. Fuck's sake, people. It kind of stuck with me. I found that fact to be very much amusing.
They will not fall by the hands of any kith. And the door itself, it is infused with living essence.
Yeah, doesn't matter. It has been built, it can be destroyed. Simple as that. Doesn't really a question. The only question that is posing itself is what you need to do it. The dwarfs themselves must have had a way of getting in.
Belfetto, this is the crux of the matter.
Belfetto indeed. Yes, a door that cannot be opened is not a door at all, is it?
Pargrunen of Durgan's battery perished within their own
Even I can see that.
victims of a violent disagreement among their own commandants.
Fascinating, kind of happens.
Surely in the village you have heard stories, no? Disappearing caravans, tracks in the snow, screams from the high towers.
Not
Work
really.
spirits
Don't
still
remember
trapped
having
in the
any.
battery, and a testament to those impenetrable walls. But the door of the keep, the one the Pargrunen filled with essence, it was made to listen, to recognize its masters.
Go on.
Traditional Aptapo cultures revolved around language. Words revealed who they were and where they were from.
Fascinating. You're telling me that language is important.
That is why
You're a
need
smarty
cat.
boy, aren't you? Because that is basically what you just said. It might sound fancy, but when you take something like that sounds very nice in theory, and you break it down, it's like, well, that is such a basic bitch statement.
Ah, that's the simple explanation.
Yes, it is.
Kantek is a statement of purpose, a declaration of identity. Each is unique to its stronghold.
Fascinating. Oh, really all with a key of words, any liar can walk his way through. Nothing built of words that won't break, and the slightest stress is applied. Indeed, because action speaks louder than words. Words themselves are kinda weak. They are quite literally just mirrors and smoke.
Thus, to enter a fortress like Durgan's battery, you would stand at the gate and recite its Kantek.
That sounds like a horrible security system. If we just look back a little bit in history, know that people are very, very good at, for example, stuff like torture. If the key to your fortress is a line of text, basically, that can be tortured out of people. Some people actually became real masters. There is actually books written by people who made it their bloody profession to get information out of people. And not to put a too fine point on it, but they apparently, well, according to their own statements and some accounts from, well, not so much the victims, because most of the victims died, obviously. So we're actually apparently really, really good at that. Getting the actual truth out of people, not just get them to the point where they were willing to say everything just to make it stop. Because that is pretty easy. You just need to inflict pain, and people will be like, okay, I will do whatever you want as long as pain stops. That is easy. What you want to do is inflict just enough pain and give them just enough motivation to speak the absolute truth that you want to hear. Some people are probably very good at that, you know? Some. Very well, where would I learn this Kantek?
Kantek, you must speak with one of the dwarves of Durgan's battery. A shame they are all dead, no?
Wow, you're an ass, aren't you?
But no doubt their souls live on in one or two of the villagers of Stalwart. Like fine wine poured into a cheap pot. But to identify them, that is the first problem. You would need the skills of an animancer.
You're an animancer.
Yeah, Galvino, why don't you go back to Stalwart? Oh, there's a sight I'd rust my joints to see.
Enough!
He snatches an inkpot from the desk and hurls it at the golem. It flies wide, spattering the wall with ink. Motionless, the one watches him with a black glass eyes.
I shall speak no more of that damned village.
What you do? The golem swivels head sharply toward you, a mask of a face. The glass eyes behind it betray no emotion, but it seems as if she is watching you carefully.
A watcher? The Verus?
Diverus?
If
What?
this is true,
Exactly, was
you
like
could find a
Diversus?
soul
Are you
descended from Durgan's battery,
asking me
no
for
question.
one-on-one?
But the greater difficulty remains. You would have to learn the Cantek from the dormant soul. And to do that, you would have to awaken it.
That would be a permanent state, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes.
Wow. I was saying I'm gonna have to screw somebody over
Whoever you
royally.
awaken will live with the memories and the personality of a past life. Maybe peacefully, maybe not.
See my statement beforehand, but see, this is why Animancers are so bloody beloved all above the Direwood. They have some interesting ideas,
That
to put
is
it
why you
mildly.
must pay attention to the soul you would awaken, no?
Yeah, because if I awaken some bloody mass murderer, that would be a bit of a problem.
It is a monumental thing to impose on another, but these are the very people who wish to rediscover the White Forge, Verus?
Yes, but if I tell them I'm going to reawaken basically a past life in them, most are probably going to be like, you know what? Maybe I want to move away from here and go into the big city and try my luck there. So the Cantek is all I need.
Say, none have yet opened Durgan's battery, but the ones that came before you, I think they got close. You may wish to find them and see what they discovered.
Where would they be?
I have not seen them since they first came to see me several weeks ago. But word has reached my ears
That
that they
shows,
crossed
yeah,
the
we
border
already had
Mitran.
the pleasure of meeting what's left of them. Awaken someone, how would I do
An
that?
awakening is merely the jolting of a dormant soul into consciousness. When such things happen normally, it is because something has reminded the subject of a past life, often violently so.
Let's just be happy that that is not actually a thing that's happening in reality.
Thus, to awaken one of the former dwarves of Durgan's battery, you will need to address that soul, and preferably by name. But show
Great.
some care. When you examine these souls, whatever it is you watchers do, you may see images, memories. These are moments of special import. What you see will tell you much about the person, and awaken them from a traumatic memory, and who knows, maybe they awaken thirsty for
Yeah,
blood.
precisely that is my
Or maybe
problem.
you awaken someone else.
There's the consequence of awakening as well as any. Yet perhaps there's a benefit to the process as well.
Here, this has been tuned to the Aeon of Durgan's battery. Use it near the villagers, and it should tell you if one has a soul old enough to have come from the battery.
I see very much.
You
Thank you,
have much
thank you,
work
thank you.
ahead of you, as do I.
I'm going with her.
You? Go to Stalwart? Is this your macabre sense of humor, or has something gone to rust in that beautiful head I crafted?
No one will bother me while I'm with her. Besides, I can help her find people in Stalwart.
You haven't been to Stalwart in 13 years. And this watcher sees souls. What help could you be? Besides, I have need of you here. You owe whatever remains of your wicked life to me.
What's the story between you two?
This charming specimen is a convicted murderer. The Devil of Carrick, she's called.
Impressive title. You've done something in your
Mighty
life.
fine of you to start with my good qualities, and you wonder why we don't get more visitors.
Killed over a dozen people before they finally caught up to her in Stalwart. Perfect company for lonely camps and mountain passes, no?
Yes, that really sounds like good company. I mean, for the adventurer business, yes, because killing is a large part of that, but not so much having to rest.
Hey, I know how to start a campfire.
Yeah, and then you're probably going to burn us with that, don't you?
The only reason she's not a frozen corpse is because I convinced the old mayor to let me try an experiment.
Why is she called the Devil of
She
Carrick?
committed her first crime in the village of Carrick. Burned their family alive in their home.
Just as we were talking about campfires, huh?
The same thing in half a dozen other villages, but the name stuck.
Are you afraid she'll murder
She
you?
may be mad, but she's no fool. She wouldn't survive long on her own. If the villagers didn't send a hunting party after her, the Ehrmans would claim her. Her joints and mechanisms require maintenance, and she cannot perform all of it
I see, I
herself.
see. Basically a bit of a hostage situation you have there.
See, he's reminding me, in case I get any bright ideas.
So, where did you build her?
Why build a fortress or a village or anything? To make something that keeps, that...
Well, let me give you a few answers there. Why build a fortress? Usually to protect strategically important points. Or to, have a nice store for stuff like your food supplies, weapon supplies, anything. Why build a village? Now, you usually don't build a village, but a village grows. Starts with, for example, one person building a nice little hut and a few fields around, and the next person is like, well, this land is rather fertile, I'll do it too, and before you know it, you have a few huts together, and you can call it a village, if you so desire. Anything else? Multitude of reasons. To summarize it in one simple point is not
It was the
right.
early days of the legacy. My peers in the colleges of Animancy were filling the Hollowborn with the souls of animals.
Yes, and we have seen how well that works out. Doesn't it?
Thought there was a better way.
Perfectly sane.
One with a Plum Academy job back in Salona. Don't forget that part.
You put part of the soul into a metal body.
Into a work of art. Look at this. Craftsmanship worthy of a jeweler. Fully articulated joints, capable of grasping a pen and writing her own name.
And of crushing your throat.
Show me another smith anywhere in the Deerwood who is capable of such delicacy and precision. She is a masterpiece.
And I take it your experiment didn't go over so well with the rest of the village.
Here we go.
They were going to stone her anyway. Why not allow her to be put to some useful purpose?
Mostly because they're afraid she's gonna continue doing some nonsense? I don't know.
My life's ambition. To serve somebody's useful purpose.
Your life's ambition is over in the very moment they caught you because, well, you're a fucking convicted murderer, aren't you?
I approached Mayor Sinahiod and begged. He saw the potential and allowed me the privilege of attempting my little experiment. Then, I accomplished what few Animancers have even dreamed of. No academic support, no patron. Just me in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, now you got them all wound up.
I transferred a fully intact soul from a living subject to a fabricated body. She retained her personalities, her memories, all of it.
Yes, that's impressive indeed, I'll give you that much.
The villagers saw only a stolen corpse. She's a fine specimen, her personality notwithstanding.
Good point. The golem says nothing, but her essence smolders. Resentment rises from her in shimmering waves. Shrivel said to look at you. Well, I do like Trevor.
Quay? No, you don't know what you ask. This woman, the Devil of Karek, she was
Yeah, we just talked about this,
murderer, burned people alive all over the region.
To be very fair, if she tried that with me, I'm just going to disable her joints. And let her spend the rest of eternity, for as long as her soul can last, in some very, very dark little crack. Seeing herself getting rusted over.
Besides, she works for me. After all, I am the one who preserved her.
Perception. Let me parade her around town. It'll infuriate those villagers. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Wink,
so
wink.
You get use of the devil's services, and I get the satisfaction of knowing those stiffnecks are sweating through their small
Basically,
clothes,
yes. Besides, but a smug grin has already worked its way across his face. Some people are so bloody fucking... I mean, I guess, yeah. Some personal satisfaction, that is something very nice, but...
It's a deal.
Fine price for a blacksmith striker. Suppose I should be flattered.
And there you have it. A bargain.
My main problem is now that I can't just dismiss myself, obviously. The way I see it, Zahua has no quest or anything around. He's just...
Very well.
Look at this, so I'm gonna take her.
A moment. You are going back to Stalwart, yes? Perhaps you could do me a favor.
Sure.
There is a man in the village named Grinde. the head fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of Stalwart kisses his feet because he fills their stinking blades with Speckleback. But I know he's not as virtuous as he seems.
Mm-hmm. Seems like I have history with him.
That self-righteous meddler engineered my eviction from the village. He turned them all against me. Now
Okay.
I want him to feel the scorn of those mush-brained imbeciles.
And what exactly do you want me to do?
Humiliate them, of course. Show his neighbors what he truly is, and let him live with the disgrace.
Oh.
He's always been a Ripple sponge addict. Just got good at hiding it once his sainted sister died and left him in charge of the fishery.
Oh.
But he keeps a stash in the fishery, sneaks in at night when the others have gone home, and emerges sluggish and red-eyed a few hours later.
How do you even know that?
I want you to expose him. Go to the fishery after dark when it's empty. Find his Ripple sponge and show it to Renengild.
I see.
Do not answer me now. But when you return to that festering eyesore and smell the stink of fish that hangs in the air, consider what I've said. Besides, you appreciate a good joke, don't you? Verus, this will be a great one. But be sure to approach the fishery by night, when it's empty. They will give you no end of trouble if they see you stealing during the day.
Well, surprisingly enough, yeah.
As must the gods themselves.
Okay, nothing about that.
You're the Watchers. You must find a sole descendant of one of the
Yes,
dwarves
yes,
of Durgan's
said that.
battery. When you find such a one, remind the sleeping soul of its old name, as would I. But they seem to know more about the battery than me. Their hands were smooth and marked with ink, not scars.
Unusual indeed. What is it you're looking
Well,
for?
himself could not have said, and I haven't the time to concern myself with the business of strangers.
To
Other
construct
projects,
sex?
they are none of your concern.
Perception 14. Other projects, like the Devil of Kirk. Perception 15. You seem pretty eager to change the subject.
For years I've been trying to create another like the Devil of Carrick. Yet those post and knock. Now I can only create these broken, mindless things. The devil
And where have you
is
found
almost
souls to
all
create?
smugglers,
Ah, okay,
slavers,
okay,
fugitives. The kind of riffraff
But
I
where do you
can't
need the
present
bonus?
the Devil of Carrick to the academies, can I? A mad woman and a murderer? No.
Is that a relevant
I need to
point?
bring a
Well,
success to
it
the
would
Republics.
be more important to think about the fact that you actually managed to bring a living, breathing soul with all of its stuff intact along. Would it even matter? I mean, she doesn't appear to be a mad woman as in screaming mad, so
Something else? Quay.
I just wanted to, get some information. Also, you apparently have not much. It's not considered stealing.
The devil has not scorched you yet, eh?
Belfetto. Yes, Belfetto indeed. I know, I don't think she will have much fun scorching me. You can try. Let's just say that's not gonna end well for her now, is it? Quests. What do my quests tell me? Return to Easter, find the other pieces of Geralt's helm. One part. The other parts are somewhere in the region. One of the parts is somewhere in the village. There are two parts. Only one part that remains. Search the fishery at night. I mean, it sounds like a pretty easy quest, I don't think.